Hello, this is Mr Bodicoat, and I'm going to introduce you to 3D printing by showing you how to access two websites on the internet. One that can allow you to change your designs, and another one which will allow you to download all sorts of models. So 3D printing, what it is, how does it work? With 3D printing you can make almost anything. We've got some designs here from shoes to mobile phone holders and golf tees and little name tags. The way 3D printing works is that you have an idea. We design it on a computer design program. We send it to some printing software which slices that design into layers, a bit like making a Big Mac with bread at the bottom and then a layer of cheese, burger, lettuce. Every layer of the model is built up one at a time using the 3D printer. And eventually you get your idea turned into an actual model. So this is how our printers work. We've got a spool of filament in the middle. We've got blue filament there. That's fed down through a tube to the hot end of the printer filament, which is like the top of a glue gun. And it squeezes out the plastic that it melts in that nozzle onto a print bed underneath. Now the print bed can move backwards and forwards and left and right. And for the mathematicians, that's the x-axis and the y-axis. And the whole thing, the nozzle will move up and down through the z-axis. So it starts at the bottom and draws the picture with melted plastic and then gradually moves up, making the picture more and more a three-dimensional model. This is our printer. It's called a Cell Robox. It's a compact little printer, and we can get a variety of printing filaments to go in there: grey, black, white, red, blue, green, fluorescent, glow in the dark, soft filament, even filament that has got carbon fibre in and is very, very strong indeed. So I'm assuming that if you've got this video playing, you're probably watching it on a computer, so you've got access to Google. Here's a Google screen. I'm going to type in the word Thingiverse. Thingiverse. And it gives me lots of options on the screen here. It tells me all about 3D printing, but this is the one that I want to go into: Thingiverse, digital designs for physical objects. And you can see it's already popped up with some of their most popular designs. Some of these are very, very complicated, but what I'm going to suggest to you is that you don't do a really complicated one until you've done some of the simpler ones, because when they don't work it gets very frustrating. So it's nice to do a multi-jointed octopus and a wiggly shark like this, but we're going to start with something nice and simple that we can be fairly sure is going to work when you get a chance to print it out. And anything that you do on Tinkercad today, or anything that you download from Thingiverse, we should be able to print it on the school's 3D printer once you've done your designs online. So let's type in a search here on Thingiverse. I'm going to type in mascot, M-A-S-C-O-T, mascot, and it'll come up with lots of little models. We were doing this in school for a theme week, and we were looking for mascots. So you can see there's a whole load of mascots down here. Some will work better than others. What I want is something that looks like it's been made before. So let's have a look at this one. This is a nice robot. And this robot's called Phil A. Ment, which is a bit of a joke. Right, on this line here, we've got thing details. It's been made 162 times. which means it works. And that's the sort of thing we want to look for. We also want to check down here that it doesn't use supports. I'll tell you about supports in a moment. So down here at the bottom it says no supports. So this is actually, although it looks effective, this is actually quite a simple model. So I'm going to have a look at this. Different colours, different sizes. We can change the size when we get to the printer, or we can change the size when we do the design in Tinkercad, because what I want to do is to add a ring at the top to hang it on a key fob. So let's have a look at the thing files. There's one thing here, it's called Astrament, and it's going to be downloaded as an STL file. Click download, and when you download anything from Google, that will end up in your downloads folder. So let's have a look at the downloads folder. We'll go into Tinkercad. I've already loaded up here, but let me show you how to get started with Tinkercad. So let's go into Tinkercad now so that we can load up the model that we've just downloaded. Here's our Google screen. I'm going to type in Tinkercad. And we want to join a class. Join your class here. Here's our Google screen. So I want to go to Here's our Google screen. So I want to go to Tinkercad. If you don't know the website, I can type in Tinkercad, Tinkercad, and that'll take me to a screen here. I want to join my class. Now you'll be given a class code for this. You will be given a class code to join Tinkercad. The nice thing about a class code is that I can then see your work once you've done it, and it's easy for me to get it and print it out on the 3D printer. So the class code is, and I'll flash this up as well, 61 U7 WB 69 FJ1N. Now what you will need for this is a secret name to join, which I shall send you when you're ready to do this. And you should have it in an email already. That's my class code. Go to my class and it asks me for my nickname. Now I'm going to log in as a student, and my password to log in is MB0554. That's me. I'm going to create a new design. You can see here these are designs I've already been playing with, but I'm going to go to a new design here. And this is your main screen for Tinkercad. It's already got up here, it gives a name for your model before you even start, and as you work everything will be saved into this name on the Tinkercad internet site. Then I can get it as your class teacher. So this is the work plane. If I hold down my left mouse button, which is the one that you usually click for moving things around, we can drag things into this space. There's a box and there's a cylinder. if I use the right mouse button, I can move this work plane around and you can see them from different angles. So we're working in 3 dimensions for this. There's also a choice between the shape being solid or being a hole. So if I click on this one, that cylinder turns into a hole, which means if my box is a bit bigger, I'll make it a bit bigger by dragging out these corners. And you can also see while I'm doing this that it tells me the size of that side. The length of that side is 43 millimeters, which is 4 and a bit centimeters. This side is 46 millimeters long. I could change that. So that makes that 50. So that's 5 centimeters. 50 millimeters, 5 centimeters. That's 50 millimeters. Now I can take this hole and I can put the hole in the square. Let's have a little look. If I tip it up, we should be able to see through it. Not quite. Let's make that hole a bit bigger then. I'm going to make it a bit taller so it sticks out of the cylinder. And I'm going to also push it down a little bit with that arrow. That arrow moves the whole cylinder up into the air and down into the ground. And you can see there, it's getting closer to the ground. It's only 12 millimeters above the ground. And that's 9, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Now it's gone -1, so that means it's gone through the floor by 1 millimeter, which means if I look under there, we can see the hole sticking out of the bottom, and we can see the hole sticking out of the top. Now if I did a bit more work on this, let's drag a sphere in as well. Let's put the sphere on the top and bring it up a little bit. So I've now got a weird shape there, which has got a ball in the corner. Let's tuck that in a bit. A hole in the middle, and it's all based on a square. It looks a bit like a camera, I suppose. If I drag a loop around this with my left mouse button again, I'm holding that left mouse button down, highlighting all of those, I can then press this button, which will group them together. And that means I've now turned those 3 different shapes, 2 solid shapes and a hole, into one solid object. Okay, let's get rid of those now. Highlight it, click on it, press delete, and it's all gone. What I want to do is to import my little man. So this is the import 3D files. Click on that. I'm going to choose a file from the downloads folder. It's already come up there because that's where I was before. So click on downloads and you can see I've been downloading various things into my downloads folder. And let's get the astronaut back in. So this is astronaut filament. Click on him and open. Now at the bottom of the screen here, this green box tells you that it's importing the astronaut figure filament. You might have to wait a few seconds for that to come through. Depends where you get your internet from. So let's have a look at filament. Here he is, filament. Here's the robot, and if I move him around with my right mouse button, I can see him from all angles. He's quite big actually for a key fob. So let's click on him, and that is 99.9. That is 10 centimeters high, which is about the height of a highlighter pen. So let me make him a bit smaller. Oh, he looks a bit fat there now, so let's make him a bit thinner. See what he looks like. Yes, that's all right. Now what I want to do is to add a loop into his head here, so that I can use him. I can hang him off my backpack, or I can hang my keys on him. So if you look down this shape, the list of shapes here, I've got a bit of a tube. Let's drag that in. Now that's going to be good for a keyring hole. It is 2 centimeters high. That's a bit high for me. Let's make him 5 centimeters, and we'll make him a bit thinner. That's 2 centimeters wide. Let's make him 15. That's about right. Now you see these little curly bits? They are the controls I can use to move the little loop that I've made around in circles. So I'm going to click on that and rotate it through 90 degrees. So now I've got a loop. The trouble is the loop's on the floor. Click on the loop, drag it up into the air. Have a little look at where he is. It's a bit too far back. Slide him. Oops, I didn't want to do that. If ever you want to change what you've done, do Control Z like you do on Word and other programs to stop what you've just done. Let's drag it into his head. Now you can see that's in part of his head because he's disappeared into his skull, disappeared into his helmet. But that loop will do the job, I think. So it looks sort of lined up. Let's just make sure. I'll click on him, shift and click on the astronaut, and then we'll align them by aligning them in the middle there. That'll do. The last thing I want to do is to group them all. Click on that, and it should then create one solid object. It is a model I can then save and print out on the 3D printer. Now, this one's called Funky Densor. I changed round while I was loading them up. You won't need to export it. I'll do that from the teacher's screen. But just to show you what happens, export 3D print, we're going to export as an STL file, and down in the bottom is Funky Densor STL. Right, let me show you a time-lapse film of filament being built by a 3D printer. This is not ours in school. I've not set it up yet to do time-lapse recording, but this is the same model being printed on a 3D printer very similar to ours. So you can see it started as shoes and it's going really quickly, but at the end of that printer is where that red tube comes down. That is where the hot plastic is being squeezed out, and you can see it's doing it layer by layer by layer. So it's building up from the bottom all the way to the top of his head, and it's finished.